Welcome back. I want to thank you for coming back, and I want to thank Chris even more for letting us use his brand new 2019 Camaro ZL1 1LE. It's the competition package added on. It's better than the standard ZL1 Camaro. That's right. This is a 6-speed manual. It also comes with a 10-speed auto, but we'll get into that detail. Thanks again, Chris.
Yeah, no problem.
Before we even do a look around, this car here, there's only 25 of these cars produced and shipped to Canada for 2019. Very rare car. And in this color, there's actually only 3 in Canada, so it's an extremely rare car. As a matter of fact, so rare, there's likely far fewer of these around than are our Lamborghini Huracans. So here's a quick few stats for you guys. This is the LT4. Yes, it's the same engine, more or less, that comes from the current Z06 Corvette. It is 650 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque, and it propels this beast from 0 to 60 in about 3.5 seconds, quarter mile about 11.5 seconds. Easily do better than that if you could make traction. That's the trick, traction. This thing has little of it because of so much torque. Okay, so what makes the 1LE package special from the standard ZL1? Well, there's a few things we're going to point out here. We've got the dive planes here, which is an add-on to give you a lot more front-end grip, especially at higher speeds when you're looking for those aggressive corners on a racetrack, for example. You've also got this increased spoiler here, which is another nice touch. Really lets you know that you're driving something special. Let's not forget the ultra-wide front grille. Give it that extra girthy look on the front end. This all stands for 1LE. And so another interesting feature about this upgraded for the track pack essentially is it has unique wheels designed specifically for the 1LE package. The sidewall is increased, more in the format of a race car. Street cars with a smaller profile generally don't bite. So this car really was intended for the racetrack. These rims are unique. These tires here on the front are 305s on a 19-inch rim, and the backs are 325s on a 19-inch rim. Also behind that, you actually have Brembo brakes powering the brakes, bringing this beast down from aggressive speeds on a racetrack. You want to make that corner before you turn in. This will definitely do the trick. And then tucked way in behind, which you really can't see, you have a special dampener, really quite high tech, often found in very rare high performance cars. And these shocks are essentially Multimatic DSSV dampeners, which really do a great job of absorbing the different tensions at different speeds. It has a way of dynamically controlling the amount of dampening. It's not the magnetic ride that you'll find in a lot of these other cars, for example, some of the Lamborghinis. This is actually even more techy. So another great feature that you're going to find tucked away especially for this car. So what do we have here? We have a matte black hood, which essentially is a representation of this upgraded model, and we have a carbon fiber shaker hood here as well. It's an add-on for the standard ZL1 or the 1LE. It's a standard feature. So in the true fashion of a track car, there is some adjustability here. You get adjustable sway bars in the back, and in the front you can adjust the camber to allow more or less grip and bite. So a little bit more camber out at the bottom allows you to grip the corners a little tighter, but more tire wear will follow. And if you want a little bit more streetability, you would set it up to be more standard. And so in the true spirit of race car driving, this car also addresses those things. We have a wonderful carbon fiber spoiler, which does one of two things. Well, really for looks, cosmetic, to really make it stand out above the rest. As well, it gives you that right rake here to provide more downforce, again at high speeds, to give you more bite on the road, make sure the tires grab, particularly in high-speed corners. As well, for the lightning factor, because it is a track-based car, you've got a thinner piece of glass on the rear window that sheds some weight, as well as the seats in the back are not foldable. As a result, they shed some weight there too. Total weight savings on the 1LE package for the ZL1 over the standard ZL1 is approximately 50 pounds, about 22.5 kilos sheds off this car from the standard car. That's the trick. And so what is actually quite impressive is some of the interior finishing on this car. Now, a lot of it is standard for the ZL1 or the 1LE package. However, there is some upgrades in this car. So number one, as a standard, we have some Alcantara or this suede finishing that you'll find all over the door panels. You have these wonderful suede inserts on the seats as well, with the leather bolsters on the sides and the edges of the seats. It also has an optional upgrade here with some carbon fiber. This car actually does have a fairly rich feel inside overall, with between the inserts and the Alcantara leather accents on the edges of the seats, as well as a carbon fiber. The car actually does feel quite dressed up. It's a very nice place to be. The seats are very comfortable, and honestly, everything is exactly where you need it. And this car also comes with the performance data recorder, the PDR, which spits out a whole onslaught of information related to performance, driving, handling, everything that you could possibly want to know about the statistics on this car as you're driving it on a track. And so we scour around the actual cabin area of the ZL1 1LE package car here, and we'll just show you around. This one here actually is equipped with the 6-speed manual gearbox, which in my opinion really is the way to go. If it's a keeper car, if it's the car of your dreams, if it's a car that you want to take out for that Sunday afternoon drive, the manual is the way to go. If you want to get that record lap time on the Nürburgring, sure, you equip this car with the optional 10-speed automatic. That's right, 10-speed. That's where in this car's case, in some ways it's better than the Corvette. You could not get a 10-speed yet in the Corvettes. Was not available in the C7 generation of cars. The 10-speed auto is actually well suited for speed. It's dialed in, short ratio, and it does a great job of keeping the engine on the boil and in the right RPM. So either way is a great option. Personally, I love the 6-speed manual gearbox in this car. And really where I sit, the cabin is very luxurious. You feel like everything's right where it should be. You've got this nice Alcantara wrapped steering wheel. It's beautiful. The rev match, which Chevy is famous for, also equipped in this because it is a manual transmission. And honestly, Alcantara, nice touches everywhere you'd expect them to be. Let's take it out for a spin and we'll talk with Chris and see, you know, some of the highlights and really get a sense of what this car is about. So let's fire this beast up. Okay, well that sounds mean enough for me. All right, so let's set off. Get this thing in first gear. So the first thing I notice, as opposed to the Corvette, which I recently drove, which is powered by the same engine, is that was an automatic. This is a manual, and honestly, this car feels more at home with the manual transmission. This has the Goodyear Supercar 3R tires on here. It's equipped with. It's a race-ready car, and so, you know, everything that comes with it. The good is the grip. The bad, unfortunately, is picking up all the stones and gravel that you find on the road. Now, once you're moving along, things are great. I do notice we have a wonderful heads-up display, which is a great feature on this car. We have some digital display, which shows some of the critical elements of the health of the engine. And basically, other than that, you just have everything you need at an arm's reach. So driving along, easy car to drive. Honestly, other than the throaty exhaust, it really does drive a lot like a civilized BMW, for example. I do notice that because of the upgraded front dampers on this car, there's sort of a sense of a little bit of a bobbiness. Now, it's all for the sake of grip. Now, obviously, the front end is very rigid on this car. The back end is rigid. Everything is track focused. Some would argue this isn't the greatest street car. The standard ZL1 might be for you if that's the case. However, for the diehards like myself, and for those that really want the best of the breed, this is the car you want, the 1LE package. It's stiff, it's rigid, it's a little bit aggressive, it's got the throatiness, it's got some of the extra touches, sheds some weight, but these wheels do a great job of making this car stick to the road. I must say, 650 horse does not really disappoint either. So then, you know, as we drive along, we know as turn in, this car is as agile as just about anything I've driven. I mean, you'd never think that you're in a conventional Camaro, because after all, you know, when a lot of people think about Camaro and what Camaro is and where Camaro came from, you think back in the 60s and the muscle cars and small block Chevys and big block 427s, and there were some great engines in those days. But then the 70s came along and the Camaro turned into sort of a bit of a gummy bear, I guess. Big engines with a little bit of power. They were soft, they were loose, the doors sagged. They were just horrible cars throughout the early 80s. Then Chevy got their act together. Sort of the 90s, they started figuring out again. People wanted some of that performance back. Then we move into the millennium, and the car progressively got better, generation upon generation, to which case, now we're seriously driving one of the best Camaros. Well, not one of. I can honestly tell you, I've driven all the generations. This is the best Camaro I have ever driven, and for numerous reasons. Number one, it still has the look, it has the persona, but it actually drives like a Corvette. So it's really the best of both worlds. It's, you know, as a matter of fact, I would argue that this is better than a Corvette. Why? It's got the Corvette performance. This probably handles better on a track due to some of the aero, but you've got back seats back there as well. You can haul your children around, throw the groceries, the golf clubs. It's actually more versatile with the same level of performance. What's not to like about that? That's why the BMW M5 became so popular, because it was a wolf in sheep's clothing, but it was phenomenally fast. Well, that's what this is. It's amazing. So Chris, what can you tell me about this thing specifically? Some of the upgraded features. You mentioned mood lighting. This has some upgraded mood lighting in this car.
Yeah, you bet. You have a bunch of different colors you can choose, and it I think there's 30 different types of colors, and then you can have 2-tier color too, so it'll have 2 colors at once, and so whatever mood you're in, and it can be on each individual mode. You can have a different color.
So what else can you tell me that is kind of you find really interesting about the interior of this car?
I do find, compared to the Corvette, that the cup holders are a lot better. They're not flimsy. You don't put an extra little piece. So I find that the cup holders are quite a bit better. I do like the new upgraded 2019 display for GM, like the phone and audio and all that sort of stuff is a little bit more upgraded, so I like that too.
This has better seats than the Corvette. The last Z06 I drove, this has better seats in it, and I actually like the interior of this better than the Corvette. The Corvette didn't quite have the same sense of, if I can say this, even of quality. This has the right, you know, balance of touches and Alcantara and carbon fiber. It's a beautiful place to be and sit. Shit, that's rough, eh?
Yeah. I'm used to it because my Subaru was worse.
Hitting these bumps, I feel like I'm jumping out of my chair a few times. Yeah. So even though they've got these awesome dynamic dampers on the front end, which does a great job of absorbing and adjusting to the driving conditions, it still does jar you around and throw you out of the seat from time to time. So obviously the obvious question a lot of people have is, well, why did you pick a ZL1 over, you know, say the Mustang, the GT350, and now soon to come out is the GT500 or even the Hellcat Demon? What is it about this car that you found more attractive to purchase versus those other two?
Well, for me, it was the track package was the way to go, because I definitely like doing road racing rather than quarter-mile stuff. And I do find that the low-end torque on this car is better for in town. And for me, the GT350, there's nobody home till $5,000, and this thing, you got it at $2,000. You got 650 foot-pounds of torque.
Lots of torque, mid-range. Yeah, you don't feel like you have to rev it to the moon. You can, and it'll continually pull harder and harder as you rev. So yeah, what's the summary on this? Very rigid car, track ready, loud, fast, furious. If you don't like aggressive, don't buy this car. If you want to go fast as hell and scare the hell out of that guy in that Ferrari, this is probably a great place to start. It is quick, seriously quick, and with the 1LE package, this car is ready to tackle the racetrack. So thanks again, everybody, for joining along and following the great review of this absolutely stunning and amazing car. This really is a supercar dressed in muscle car clothes. Yes, it's by far the best Camaro ever, and yes, right now it is the best muscle car on the market. So if you like the video, make sure you hit the like below and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'd love to see you guys on the next one. Catch you then. Bye-bye.
Oh, yeah. got line lock on it. It's got launch control on it. It's got red match on it.
It's got the whole meal deal.
Yeah.